G'day. Is it harder to track in the jungle or in open country? That's a question I want to address this morning in this quick video. From my own point of view, and this, you have to keep this in perspective, it really relates back to the level of tracking you're capable of undertaking. So if you are an experienced tracker, essentially you should be able to track anywhere. You're always going to be tracking more efficiently in your own backyard, where you are most familiar with the way the terrain, the substrate, the environment, the moisture levels all impact on the external environment. You're also going to be more tuned in to the wilderness and the creatures within it. So it really depends on what your background is. But whether one area is better than the other is almost arbitrary. In terms of, people often tell me, and have asked me this question from a professional point of view, we do search and rescue tracking in a very, very thick bush area, basically subtropical rainforest. And I've responded with, great, what's the problem? From my point of view, and I was trained to track in the jungle originally, and I've tracked as a combat tracker on active duty in the jungle. So to me, the jungle is great. It gives me a lot more protection as a tracker from a tactical point of view, but more importantly, it provides the palette for a lot of mess to be made by the target I'm pursuing. Open country is actually oftentimes more challenging. The spore line that you're working is less obvious. It is easier to move a long distance off the spore before you realise that you are needing to undertake a lost sign drill and recover your spore line. So from that point of view, the thicker, the denser, the better as far as I'm concerned. People don't move as far, the distances are shorter, and while they can be laying very close to you when you approach them, you still have the added advantage of being able to see the story that they've left behind far more clearly. Now, I spent a lot of time in Western Australia, Perth and surrounds as part of my military career basing. So over there, I also got to practice extensively almost desert-like conditions and a sandy substrate to track on. And quite literally, practically blind Freddy can track in those environments. The story is there for us to interpret. As long as you remain consistent and disciplined with your spore line follow-up, you can actually track someone very quickly over a long distance because it's a nice, clear, continuous line of spore. Whereas in rainforest or jungle, step around one branch and you've got a whole new view to look at, and you're looking at it and going, wow, I can't see anything, where did it go? It's just about discipline, constant training, constant dirt time, so you are able to discern the smallest pieces of baseline disturbance. Irrespective of whether you're in desert country or the jungle, those two rules remain consistent. You have to be able to be consistently able to detect disturbance. Otherwise, you're not tracking. Right, so that's just something to think of. It's an odd question to me. I actually find the most difficult terrain to track in Australia is open sclerophyll gum forest or eucalypt forest, because it has a leaf litter that is not consistent. It's very dry by default, and everything is aged very quickly. So getting onto a spore line and sticking on it in those type of terrains can be quite challenging. And consequently, you find yourself doing a lot of advanced tracking techniques to compensate for the immediacy of the environment you're looking at. So can you track in a jungle? Is it harder? It's all just a question of how you look at it. Whatever way you're tracking and for whatever reason you're tracking, I hope over the next sort of little while you'll learn to appreciate more about what tracking can afford you in terms of a skill set and a deeper connection with the natural environment. Trackers can't be hard-nosed by default. we have to be objective without question, but we have to be very, very connected to nature, because that's where we find what's different. Who's walked through here? We see it with the eyes of the naturalist. So there you go. You can track in any terrain. None is really better than the other.